tyre whisperer.
I love that.
A bit like we're doing a puff piece for Emperor Palpatine. That's actually quite you.
My answer was ridiculous.
This is smashing up anything I see.
Wow, what a reveal.
Hello and welcome to the Inside Track, the Formula One podcast that takes you behind the scenes of the biggest stories in the sport with exclusive access to Red Bull Racing. I am broadcaster and Formula One fan Rick Edwards.
And I'm sports journalist Matt Magendy. And each week we bring you the backstage gossip, the latest F1 news, find out who's thriving and which drivers are under pressure.
This season we've got the Inside Track on Red Bull Racing as they fight to retain their standing as the fastest team on the grid. If you want to see all the action from us in the studio and from race day, subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Inside Track podcast. So let's dive straight into the Canadian Grand Prix and the crash between the McLarens.
Yep.
I don't want to take too much credit here, but I do feel like on this podcast, we have been saying for a number of weeks, at some point, those two are going to crash. So part of me, when they did crash, I was like,
aren't I wise?
Yeah, so well done me.
Well, the law of averages said it was going to happen. The two quickest cars, the two drivers going for the wins most consistently, you would think. And yeah, sure enough, that was their first ding dong.
No number one, number two driver.
No number one, number two.
Just race.
Not as calamitous as it could have been. I mean, I know Lando Norris won't agree with that, but I still envisage a time where there's a coming together that both of them are out of the race, which would have obviously greater ramifications.
And that, because I think that McLaren will probably be able to just sort of wave this away and say, well, Lando said he made a mistake and Oscar got his points and, it was all quite amicable. And maybe they don't then need to sort of think about, we're going to need to make some decisions here about whether we are just going to let them race.
I think the only thing that would happen is they'll probably both get a reminder. Well, Piastri maybe doesn't need one, but Norris will get a reminder about what's at stake because he sort of went for an opportunity wasn't there. But I don't think they'll change it. If you see how amicable they were in the mix zone where they're doing all the broadcast interviews afterwards, Lando over the race radio, sorry, shook his hand, sorry again. All's fair. But if there are other incidents, it starts building up, doesn't it? I'm not saying that's going to happen, but you would think over the course of 24 races, something else like that's going to happen. Yeah, and then does it call into question their strategy? I mean, I love it that they let them race.
It's fun, but as we've said before, this is about winning. Yeah, that's what the business is, and that is slightly affected. I mean, they're miles clear in the constructors, and they're going to win the constructors' championship. Yeah. I mean, barring
something calamitous happening,
or another team
finding
absolutely,
something,
which you can't really see. But I really want, and I think this is probably true of a lot of people, I really want Lando Norris to do well. He's such a nice guy, and I sort of feel for him, and he's so open. But I do wonder if you're sort of seeing a bit of desperation is not quite right, but like over keenness.
Pushing it too much?
Just a little bit too much. You saw it, not good in qualifying either,
But I don't know why he did it then, because there was still time and he'd actually caught Piastri by surprise previously and nearly made it through. And you were like, okay, mate, if you're patient.
Now wait your chance.
I did think he was the quickest driver, wasn't it, at that point? If he waited, and then when he did that, I was like, I cannot believe that Piastri didn't incur any damage, or if it did, very limited.
I know.
Because when it happened, it was a big old shunt for Lando, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I guess they'll just carry on. Yeah. As you were, lads.
Yeah, I think that's exactly, it's racing. We want to go racing. We want to put a show on for the fans. But maybe in Austria, if there's a coming together again, they might think differently. I don't know. Yeah.
But second in that race, great result for Red Bull. I think there'll be, and a little bit of progress in the Drivers' Championship as well from that. Good weekend.
They'll be pleased, definitely be pleased, because it's only a minimal amount of, they've eaten into Piastri's lead, only a few points, but it doesn't matter. It's all about the wins where you can get them or gaining advantage. They were quick. Their strategy, again, worked well. They came in for an early pit stop, which is a bit of a gamble, but it all paid off. And Verstappen looked good. Couldn't quite get the better of George Russell. It was close. The Mercedes were very good. I think other teams will come out of that race, not just Red Bull, but Mercedes come out of that race feeling very positive.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think McLaren will be necessarily unduly concerned, but it just puts in a little bit of a doubt, doesn't it, when you have a race weekend like that where it just didn't all go their way.
Verstappen has been quite keen to talk down his title chances. Mm-hmm. after this weekend, it's on, isn't it?
See, I don't believe it. Whenever he says that, I don't believe it. I
I
know
for a
how
second.
competitive he is and how the team is. And until there's a mathematical impossibility, they're a team that will go hammer and tongs at staying in the fight, doing the best they can. They will think, even though it's a fraction of just a few points, they'll feel they're batting the mix. There's the doubt there with the McLaren drivers having had the coming together. The fact that he was quick, consistently quick. His race pace in practice sessions was quicker than McLaren's. That was better race pace. You saw that consistently. They were looking good throughout the weekend. They'll be positive and they'll be breathing down the neck, trying to put more pressure on McLaren. So it's great. I know it's not made a massive difference points-wise, but it does feel like there's a little bit of a frisson more of championship battle there.
Because you've got two such different team strategies, team approaches with Red Bull and McLaren. You got McLaren where you got two drivers, both really quick, both fighting for points, racing each other. And then with Red Bull, and they've done this for forever, pretty much. They've got their driver, and then you've got the second seat. Yeah. And everything really is geared towards that. I just wonder if that sort of clear, even if it's just marginal, that clear delineation can make a difference over a season.
I like it that the two, in theory, the two teams battling out for the wins have such a different approach. Yeah. It's interesting you said about Red Bull because it wasn't always their way. When they started, it was, shared. So even with Vettel and Mark Webber, they were supposedly on an equal footing at the start of the season. Do you remember that was that multi-20?
Yeah, I do.
I think it was whoever led into the first corner or something like that took the advantage, and then Vettel broke that at Silverstone, I think it was, and there was that multi-21 or something was the call, and Mark Webber very pointedly saying multi-21 Seb, and Seb was like, I don't care, I won the race, I was quicker than you. And that was an interesting shift. Then he became the number one driver, and actually people forget when Verstappen started the first two seasons, he lost to his teammate Danny Ricciardo. He was behind him in both the first two seasons, I think, in point standings. Yeah. But then it very quickly shifted, and he has been number one. Now, if Red Bull had another driver who was as quick. It was interesting for a period. There were a few races where Checo Perez looked like he might be doing it, couldn't do it consistently. But you've got a driver that's so much better than his teammate, but also probably so much better than everyone else on the grid, potentially, he'd argue, that is a sensible policy. And Red Bull have made it clear, chatting to Christian Horner this season, it is about Max. It's about going for Drivers' Championship number 5. They make that really clear. McLaren, similarly, papaya rules, we've got no 1 and 2, and I love that. And the fact they're just contrasting adds to the fun and the theatre of it, I think.
There was a nice bit at the end when the safety car came out where George Russell, I don't know, maybe brakes a bit unnecessarily, and Verstappen sort of momentarily kind of comes past on the inside, and then drops
straight
back
onto
again.
the radio as well. Both of them.
It's like it's so childish, and nothing's happening with it. I think rightly because it would sort of be mad. Yeah. But the sort of the theory is that George Russell is trying to sort of bait Verstappen into going past so that he can then get penalised and then be out for a race.
But then he hops onto the radio and tells him off like he's reporting him to the head teacher, saying, miss or sir, this happened.
But it's always like that. Yeah. But every complaint is,
But then Verstappen's like, well, he brake tested me. Let me get the wording. The wording of it is interesting. So basically, as you say, nothing's going to happen. But when it did happen, so you see that, then Red Bull decide they're going to take it further. So they complained to the stewards and they said of Russell, allegedly driving erratically under the safety car and displaying unsportsmanlike behaviour by complaining that car 1 had overtaken under safety car conditions. That's their fair argument. And then Mercedes arguing that periodic braking is commonplace and to be expected during safety car deployments to ensure that temperature is maintained in tyres and brakes. Now, that's fair enough. But then at the same time, I'm thinking Russell pretty much knew that race was going to finish. He must have known that race was finished under the safety car, so that doesn't apply.
Doesn't need to look after his tyres. Yeah.
And so then they then go with their team representatives to the head teacher's office to talk about it. And the head teacher, so FIA Sporting Director Tim Mallion said the complaint had been assessed to not warrant being reported to the stewards. So basically, he shouldn't have done anything. But I loved it. Interestingly, one of the I think Red Bull representative, a guy called Steve Knowles, who's the guy that does the liaising with the FIA on behalf of the team. I think he would have been the representative that would have gone. I don't know that for sure, but we're lined up to hopefully talk to him at the next race in Austria. So it'd be fascinating to get an insight, because that's one person I've not met and one bit I don't have a full understanding of that.
That must get lively sometimes.
Well, you would imagine, because you're perpetually, they're so competitive, they're fighting their cause. We can say this is sort of handbags and school playground behaviour, but they're going to fight their cause for whatever it is. And you saw both teams at play doing that.
Yeah. But I mean, my feeling on that is that Red Bull have just tried to get ahead of what they think Mercedes are trying to do.
Exactly.
I don't think Red Bull think they've got any particular grievance, but they're just like, we need to get our point across because they're going to be trying to get theirs across. And also, the image I've got in my head, which obviously isn't right, but is, I don't know if you used to get in trouble at school. I did used to get in trouble at school. And if you had to go and see the headmaster, then you'd just be, there'd be a lone chair. You'd be sat outside the office just waiting for the door to open. You slope in. And if it was an issue where there's you and someone else was in trouble, then they'd be sat on another chair. And I just like the idea of Russell on his little chair and Verstappen on his little chair outside.
I love like a little naughty corner just outside there. Like really small stools as well.
And then the door creaks open and you come, lads.
I mean, I'd love to see that. To have footage of that moment would be great.
Yeah, I mean, I hate AI and I will never do this, but if you wanted to generate the sort of the AI video of that, you could.
It's possible.
Yeah. Don't do it, but you could.
It'd be fun to be a fly on the wall for that.
Yes, it really would. So my brief flirtation with this topic of conversation that we have quite a lot is Yuki finishing 12th is just sort of disappointing again.
Well,
really.
I think the qualifying was disappointing. So where he ended up being.
Well, that's sort of what I mean. Like overall, it's just another. I feel like we do quite a lot of but there was good bits.
Yeah.
But you kind of want the whole thing to be, you sort of need the whole weekend to be good.
Yeah, he needs to get his Saturday right in qualifying. Once that's done, he gets into Q3, a good qualifying position to then see what is possible. Because we can, I'm talking positively about what he does from way back to climb up the order, and that's impressive. But you want to see if he can do that in the mix. I think he can. There is belief within the team in him and support for him. I don't think we're going to get another Liam Lawson situation.
Well, you say that, but I have ordered in an Isaac Hadjar mug just in case.
What would be the message on it?
That's good, actually. What?
Because I think he was saying,
I'd quite like to crowdsource that. Email us. What's Isaac Hadjar's sort of tagline?
I don't know what it would be. Wonder Kid or something. Like he's like,
Yeah, but Kimi Antonelli's probably trademarked Wonder Kid, hasn't he?
Rookie of the Year. What would you be? Either way, it's very impressive. But I think he was. I read somewhere that he was talking about not being quite ready to step up to Red Bull. I think that's.
Well, I mean, he didn't have a good weekend, actually.
Yeah.
For him, generally speaking, he's been good. Not this weekend was not a good one.
Saying that, his and Racing Bull's social media game is sensational. My kids have alerted it to me more.
Was it good?
Really good. Like he's firing.
Are we following the wrong team?
Firing. But they have a different approach. It's interesting. The strategy still, I think, comes over all Red Bull. They sort of oversee both teams. But my kids, they're 13 and 16, and they love it. There's him doing impressions of Liam Lawson.
Oh, that's
nice. Trying to be all muscly, and then his funny style of driving. He's taking Mickey, and Lawson's like, well, to be fair, that's how. Yeah. But also, he's firing a water pistol off the hospitality suite at people and things like that. I just love all those things, and I wasn't really aware of them. My kids raised that fact. So he's a great driver and seems to be a great fun character at the same time.
Oh, so maybe it's just a water pistol emoji.
Maybe that's it.
That's quite nice.
Yeah,
we're getting.
We'll work on it.
George Russell,
brilliant,
textbook, perfect, pole, win the race, fastest lap.
And then very modestly at the end saying, I'm driving better than ever.
Yeah.
Which I thought, like, mate,
but he's having a really good. I know. In the last few weeks, haven't been, but generally speaking, he has been driving really well.
Yeah, he was,
and this was
pretty flawless, wasn't he?
Yeah,
got off okay. Like Verstappen looked like he might put him under pressure, but that didn't happen. And great race, perfect, managed it. Verstappen came in when he pitted, and Mercedes covered that by him coming in straight away. So any danger they were just ready for. It seemed like a really well-oiled team.
Yeah.
The slight anomaly, and Russell was honest enough going, people are like, you're in the fight now. And he's like, no, this track was kind to us.
Essentially because of tyre wear is minimal.
So it's a bit confusing because everyone goes, well, it's cold. So I think track temperature is something like 50 degrees. So it's really, really hot. So you'd think, okay, why is that not doing that to the tyres? But because it's such a smooth surface, we talk about abrasive surfaces like other tracks, because it's such a smooth circuit there in Montreal, it doesn't have the same effect on the tyres. So the tyres keep cooler in that sense, so that the degradation is less dramatic. Now, at those high temperatures, McLaren seem to the best at not seeing their tyres degrade, whereas Mercedes have struggled. Interestingly, teams seem to not understand quite why Mercedes behave as well as they do with their tyres on the cooler circuits. I assume the team understand it, or perhaps if they didn't understand it, they'll be able to transfer it to all circuits. So that's then Russell, for that reason, saying, well, this was a great weekend, but it's not going to be always like this. I feel like he might go okay in Austria, though, at the next race.
And then Kimi Antonelli getting third. I think everyone was delighted.
Yeah, it's lovely to see him. It's so nice when he gets out of the car. He's so ecstatic with it. Great weekend for him as well. To have a first and a third, I think it was probably the best they could aspire to, wasn't it?
Lewis Hamilton, he's not happy. Thinks that Ferrari need an upgrade. It sounds like they're not telling him whether there's going to be an upgrade.
He didn't seem to know when's an upgrade. Oh, I don't know. No one's told me.
No,
but did you see his TV interview?
No.
Because basically his issue was he was losing half a second a lap because he'd driven over a groundhog, which I feel sorry for the groundhog, but he looked heartbroken. I love those, I love those furry guys. I feel devastated for it. But the fact, how unlucky can you be to drive over a groundhog?
You probably can't blame the team for that. And you can't really have an upgrade that's going to...
But they equated that it was worth about half a second because it seemed nonsensical that he was dropping so far behind. But obviously that's a casualty of driving at a race in Canada.
You sort of feel like you might be able to keep the groundhogs off the track somehow. Okay, coming up, we're going to look at our quite poor race prediction.
Awful.
We've had some cracking messages in from viewers and listeners, though, and we'll look ahead to Red Bull's home race in Austria. So we'll look at our Canadian Grand Prix race predictions then.
Can we start with AI?
We're going to start with AI. So this is how it works. We predict who's going to come first, second, and third. Point for each of the drivers who are in the top three, and then an extra 3 points if you get the order exactly right, which still has not happened. We are competing against each other, but also competing against AI and you, the listeners and viewers. You can submit your predictions by going on our Instagram stories at the @InsideTrack_podcast. Each week we pick a prediction to represent the audience, and we could pick a prediction for a YouTube comment. I don't know if we have, but we could. That's within our power. So AI. AI said first, Oscar Piastri, unlucky. Second, Lando Norris, unlucky. Third, Charles Leclerc, unlucky. 0. Ha!
Is that the first 0 by anybody?
That's the first 0 by anybody ever.
That's so pleasing.
In the history of predictions.
Did you watch the race rubbing your hands with glee?
I actually couldn't remember what the AI had said, but this is
satisfying. Very
just
satisfying.
Fantastic news.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
machine underlords,
while scoring no points, it's not like that we've leapt forward.
Well,
I don't know about you, but I know I haven't.
No, but and this isn't quite how it sort of works, but we did infinitely better than the AI.
Infinitely?
That's mathematically true. Yeah.
Okay, right.
Yeah, then you can't argue with that.
It's not the word I choose to use.
No, but it is nevertheless true. AI, AI has been quite chippy and sort of no comment from AI.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting, isn't it?
That is interesting.
Get back in your silly little electronic box. This week's audience prediction from Steve: first Piastri, second Russell, third Verstappen. Verstappen, not bad, 2 points.
Yep.
And then I had first Norris, second Piastri, third Russell. I think having Russell in there, I deserve a bit of credredit.
I love how you always argue.
I'll always argue that mine was slightly better.
I agree, because I didn't have Russell. I didn't see him being... I did. I think maybe I talked about it, that it was a possible, but I didn't go for it.
Yeah, you didn't have the confidence to go for it, 1 point. And then my mistake was not having Verstappen in there. You went first Piastri, second Verstappen, third Norris, so you also get 1 point.
It's not great, though.
What that means is I move ahead of the AI.
Beautiful.
I've been tied with that AI for so long.
Are you second overall?
I'll be second overall. The audience has caught the AI up now as well. So the audience and AI are on 17. Yep. I'm on 18. You're still 3 clear, quite comfortable on 21.
I don't know how to call the next race. Well, I know we do that later, but that's...
Well, it's really disappointing. I made my prediction and then looked, and it's the same as AI's, and now I don't know whether to change it. And I haven't quite worked that out yet.
I think I always try and go different.
Yeah, I think... But then,
if it gets
AI
a 6
gets
pointer,
a 6, I've changed it. I will lose my mind.
Okay.
I'm just smashing up anything I see.
What are you going to do? Oh, I don't want to advise you. You've got to go with your guts.
I think you probably have, haven't you? Right, so we've had a lovely email from Carl Watson. I'll read it to you. He says, "Hi, Rick and Matt. Really liking the pod. Great work. I wasn't much of a Red Bull fan until now.
Oh.
I take the point. I mean, it's a bit like we're doing a sort of a puff piece for, Emperor Palpatine, but trying to get people on side with the Death Star. You would think about it from their point of view. But no, I'm happy that I'm happy about that. I think that's nice. Compliments aside, I am missing learning about the different countries hosting races. Good point. So as a Brit living in Canada, wanted to teach you a little about this place. Matt, you need to up your game when it comes to using local phrases in your interviews. Poor effort so far.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, can't deny that. Some cool facts about Canada. Second largest country in the world. Which is bigger? You'll know this.
Russia.
Yes. And he says most of the country is empty because hardly anyone lives there. More lakes than the rest of the world combined. How many lakes do you think Canada's got?
147.
147, yeah. I mean, to say you're an order of magnitude out would be kind because you are orders of magnitude out. Do you have one more guess?
1,470.
Still orders of magnitude out. Still.
150,000.
Still.
Okay, you're going to have to hit me.
It's stupid. 2 million lakes. Over 2 million lakes. Doesn't... Look, I'm checking that. This... hard to verify. They apologise a lot. So much so, they passed the Apology Act in Ontario, clarifying that saying sorry doesn't mean admission of guilt in court.
Google search, is that true?
That's good, isn't it?
Yeah, that is great.
I feel like we could do an Apology Act.
Yeah, I love that.
We'd love to apologise.
Yeah.
You think they apologise more than us?
Yeah, I think they do have a reputation for it.
But we will apologise. Well, I say we, but I mean, I apologise if someone bumps into me.
Yeah.
And it's definitely, it's just a reflex. You just say sorry. And that's certainly not an admission of guilt.
Maybe there'd be a sorry off between us and Canada to decide who's the strongest. I don't know.
Okay, is this part of the Lake podcast or is it another
We have
idea?
another podcast.
We are.
It's going to be busy.
Churning out these ideas. Okay. Funny and uniquely Canadian phrases. Hey? So that's the classic, used to turn a statement into a question or seek agreement. Pretty cold out here, hey?
Yeah, they always go higher at the end of sentences.
Yeah, it's slightly sort of Antipodean inflection. This is nice. I'm giving her means going all out or full speed. We've got to finish this podcast edit. I'm giving her is the example that Carl has offered. Hoser is really nice. It's a loving insult, like calling someone a doofus. Don't be a hoser, pass me a donut. That, again, is Carl's example.
Oh, I like hoser.
Yeah, hoser. Hoser feels like a sort of gentle loser.
Yeah.
Out for a rip, going for a drive or a ride or just a fun time. We were just out for a rip, buddy.
Yep.
These are good, Carl. Apart from, obviously, the
lake.
The lake debacle.
Yeah, debacle.
The lake stuff that will
Another fact, I used to live in Canada. I used to live in Ottawa. There we go.
Notice many lakes or...
One or two? No, I wasn't counting too much.
Carl says, looking forward to the next episode. Cheers, Carl. Well, thank you.
That's very informative.
We also, some of it is. We also heard from Sonny on Instagram who said, love your podcast. Thank you, Sonny. And by the way, Dutch media is definitely much easier on Hamilton and vice versa.
Oh, interesting.
Not trying to stir it up like some British media.
Interesting, because that's what we were talking about, whether we sort of assumed that it would be that way around. That is interesting.
But I wonder if that's about the Dutch, who are I've got Dutch relatives, and they are the sort of stereotype about the Dutch being very sort of, chilled and friendly.
So that's their character more to not be,
Yeah, kind of fits with them, I think.
Yeah, okay.
He says,
that's interesting.
Tabloids are the worst. We don't have that here in the Netherlands. Smiley face. Good for you, Sonny. So our next race on the Formula One calendar is Sunday the 29th of June in Austria, Red Bull's home one.
Yep.
So we've got a week break in the schedule. I think Red Bull will be going into this feeling really upbeat.
Well, it's their own circuit, so
Yeah.
and it's habitually a circuit, unsurprisingly, that suits the characteristics of their car. Might be different.
Yeah.
This season, I think Max would have won if he hadn't had the coming together last season with Lando Norris. He's won there 4 times. He'll feel good about it, particularly after what happened at the weekend.
Yeah.
But I think McLaren will feel confident they can bounce back. Mercedes, I think the characteristics of the track, they could actually still be in the mix there. Ferrari, who knows? It's potentially a really fun race with plenty of permutations, which is what you want.
Yeah, Ferrari, who knows whether they'll tell Hamilton if they're doing an upgrade or not.
That is amazing.
Can you just tell me? It'd be a nice surprise.
His engineer will tell him in the middle of the race.
Yeah. Notice anything different, Lewis? Sort of tailored-ish to Red Bull, but in terms of like the circuit itself, what do we need to know about it? Long straights, quick corners. So you need to have a fast car, so you've got to have good power unit, etc., but also really good downforce. So grippy. Yeah. Grippy and fast. But I don't know. I can't quite tell who's going to come out on top. But Red Bull will go there confident. Also, you've got all that support, so they'll be willing them on. The Austrian public will be willing on the Red Bull team, so there'll be a lot of support, and I imagine a lot of the Orange Army will come out to support Verstappen. And do you remember Nigel Mansell used to say for the home Grand Prix, for the British Grand Prix, it would lift him by a second a lap. And I never really believed that, because actually it seems too fantastical for it to be that. But there is something there that you can get a lift. And I know it's not his home race as a driver, Verstappen, but there'll be a lot of support there. So you'd think it's always going to help, isn't it? This is maybe a completely stupid thing to say. That hasn't stopped me before. I don't really think of Red Bull as being an Austrian team. That's odd, isn't it? No. I mean, of course they are, but you think of them as a British team? British, yeah. They do, because they're based in Milton Keynes. The majority of their workforce is British. Christian Horner, and I don't know, it just doesn't. It's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, that they are, Red Bull, its home is in Austria. It's a part Thai, part Austrian, isn't it? Yeah. Ownership. So what do you think? Silverstone feels more like their home race. Maybe they perceive it that way. I don't know. Kind of. I don't know if I. No, I wouldn't necessarily. Who would I? But for wider Red Bull as a brand, it's a big thing. Their home race at their circuit, isn't it? Yeah. And where are you going to watch? Where are you going to be? Out at the race with the team. So I can't really say yet, but there's some really cool things being talked about to be doing behind the scenes. So come on, no, because they haven't been confirmed yet. So I don't want to. If you say them, I don't want to promise then and not deliver. Locks them in. No, people have to come back on to have a listen. But there's some good stuff. We had some good things, obviously, in Monaco, and hoping for some fun stuff to come. So it should be a good race. And they're putting a lot into it, because being a home race, there's a lot of eyes on them. Not there isn't all the time, but there'll be a lot of eyes. So yes, expect some good stuff. Okay, the thorny subject of predictions. So AI has gone with Verstappen, Piastri, George Russell. Oh, so it's not done its thing of repeating the result from the previous weekend. No, I think it's looked at how good Verstappen has been on this circuit. That's quite a good 1, 2, 3. Well, I've got to be honest. That's my 1, 2, 3. So this is the question for me: whether stick or twist. The thing is, either way now, I'll hate it. So if I stick and it's bad, or I don't know, I'm going to stick. I'm going the same. So you got to say. I'm going the same as AI. I'm going Verstappen first, Piastri second, George Russell third. I feel like I was trying to. I think Lando Norris is going through something, having thought he was sort of back in the ascendancy. It was just a moment. I don't know. I still got faith in him.
could easily do that top 3. I'm going to have... Why is this one so much more painful? Canada's thrown up a lot, and the way the track is, it could...
I think also the AI has made a good prediction.
Yeah, this is a problem. I can't believe it. I'm going to have Verstappen as the winner as well. I just feel he's going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Norris second.
Oh.
I'm going to feel like he's going to come back.
Yeah.
And Piastri third, which I think I had a not dissimilar order before, but I'm going to go with that. So it's at least different from you two, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No Russell, which I feel harsh on him, but there we go.
Apparently, it is time for Matt and I to get our new motorsport-themed nicknames.
Excellent.
Which I am quite excited about. I think, first of all, to lead us in, you need to explain who GP is at Red Bull and also Pedals.
Yeah, 2 great nicknames. GP is quite easy. It's Giampiero Lambiase. He's the race engineer for Max Verstappen, but he's also the overall head of race engineering for the team. So that's a change this season. Pedals is Paul Monahan. He was given that name. His first job in Formula One was drawing the pedal configurations for Gerhard Berger. It's a niche nickname, and it's stuck forever. And he's worked with some great drivers: Jenson Button, Fernando Alonso, Sebastian Vettel, Max Verstappen, etc. But a fantastic nickname, and no one ever calls him anything but that. Oh no, Helmut Marko always calls him Paul. Everyone else, as far as I can work out in the team, calls him Pedals. It's just such a good nickname. When you first hear it, I think that might be my favourite nickname in Formula One. I'm sure there are others.
Yeah, it's nice. Also, Gerhard Berger. I love Gerhard Berger when I was a kid.
Yeah, me too.
Don't know why.
Well, I mean, I don't know, old school racer, that type of thing.
I suppose so, yeah. But there was a definite...
There was a love.
My mum really liked him, I remember.
But I can't really understand. It's interesting you say that. I can't explain why I loved him so much. But for some reason, Gerhard Berger, good.
Yeah, but then I was also an Alain Prost fan rather than Senna, which doesn't
Alain
make
Prost
any...
too. But Gerhard Berger wasn't a massive race winner. He wasn't winning.
No, not at all.
Wasn't that,
not at all.
But,
just maybe seemed like a nice guy. I don't know. But yeah, it's quite a sort of
that's
key part of my Formula One memories.
It's funny.
So, given these nicknames, we have, well, not we, this is producer Nick, obviously, thought we should have our own motorsport inspired.
Well, and we're contractually obliged to stick with them.
And also, I don't know if you mentioned it, but the tattoo as well. So
that's fine.
This is for keeps. So he's come up with a list, and we just have to pick our favourite. Some are complimentary.
Yeah.
Some, it has to be said, are less so. And they were run through a kind of, our names were put through a nickname generator.
So this is AI, so yours are not going to come out well then, if that's generally...
I mean, the thing is, I'm looking at these and I think that producer Nick might be lying to us and they might be his own work and he's just trying to...
He's chuckling in the corner too much.
Yeah. So I think...
I smell a rat. Okay.
Yeah. These are your choices. You've got 5 choices. Okay. Magendie the mechanic knows exactly what's going on under the surface.
Doesn't roll off the tongue.
It doesn't. Mad Dog Magendie.
I like it, but why?
It's a bit Wild West.
Yeah.
A bit wild, unpredictable, gets stuck in from lap 1.
Yeah, okay.
The Tyre Whisperer.
I love that.
Yeah, that's actually quite you. Manages every topic to perfection, even the boring ones.
Oh.
Yeah.
I could do worse than the Tyre Whisperer so far.
Yeah. This is just good for just impact. Stat Matt. Always got the stats. Never wrong. Yeah. Motormouth Magendie. Always going on about his Red Bull access.
God, that's what my children would say then.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's your choice. Don't want to lead the witness here. But the Tyre Whisperer, surely.
I'm going to, I think that would be my favourite. I don't mind. 3, 4 and 5 I was quite happy with, but I think the Tyre Whisperer, if I could choose, that would be...
Well, you can.
Yeah.
You can. Okay, my ones. My ones are worse. I would say. Rocket Rick. Fine. I'll read the description here from the nickname generator.
The Nick.
Yes.
Generator. Ridiculous.
Fast-talking, sharp-witted, always ready to launch into an argument. Fine, I suppose. Red Flag Rick. That's actually quite... it rolls off nicely. Always ready to stop the fun with a dramatic take.
Oh, this is good.
This one is a disgrace. Dipstick Rick.
Oh, it's my favourite.
No.
What's that for? Then?
Simple but essential part of the show. It's rude.
These are a bit nasty now.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Are they getting better or?
No. Slick Rick, like the tyres, smooth, stylish, only useful in the dry.
Oh, that's a bit of a harsh bit at the end. But
Well, we can rule out Dipstick Rick.
Oh, that was my vote.
Yes, I know.
Are we not allowed to vote?
No. The safety car. I quite like this. Slows things when it gets too chaotic.
That's really good.
I think the safety car is
good.
nice.
That is good.
I think it's either...
They somehow better the ones without our names in them. So the Tyre Whisperer and the Safety
Tyre
Car.
Whisperer and the Safety Car.
That seems a good marriage of nicknames.
So there we go. We've got our nicknames.
Yeah.
Now, just get the mugs made.
Off to the tattoo parlour. Yeah. Quick team outing.
Okay, so next week, Matt, you're going to be in the studio to answer any questions at all.
Yep.
You'll answer anything. Doesn't have to be about Formula One.
It could be lakes.
Yeah.
A lake Q&A.
It's just a series of people
really
saying,
niche.
how many lakes in Colombia?
Lake Falsards. Yeah. But yes, like anything. So you can email us and ask any question you want knowing, whether it's about what's just happened, what's to come, bit of F1 knowledge. Yeah, we're open. No stupid questions, we'd always like to say.
Can I ask one?
Yeah.
How transferable are the driving skills for Formula One to other driving events? So, would a Formula One driver be really good in a rally car?
It's such a good question. They used to have a really helpful thing called Race of Champions at the end of the season. Did you ever see that? With a Formula One driver would get, so you'd have a Michael Schumacher going up against a Sebastian Loeb from WRC to some of the American guys. It was a great leveler, and they would be in all sorts of different vehicles, buggies.
They should still do that, ideally.
It was brilliant. I went to it once in Barbados. It was amazing. I got driven in a buggy by Susie Wolff, of all people.
That's good.
Both sort of strapped to right front and unbelievably quick in these things. And so ex-drivers and current drivers would do it. And it was such an interesting level.
Was that when Susie Wolff was at Williams?
Yeah, so she would have been the test driver, reserve driver for the team. Yeah, so that was great. So I don't know. It's weird how it doesn't always transfer. It's such a different skill. I mean, rallying particularly is such a different skill.
Yeah, maybe I've gone too far.
Well, interestingly, Valentino Rossi on two wheels, he turned out to be very good in a Formula One car. There was genuine talk about him trying to do it. He managed to transfer that well. But then you see Robert Kubica, for example,
just
great
won
Formula
Le
One,
Mans,
just won Le Mans.
Yeah.
Jenson Button was in that. Quite a lot of ex-F1 drivers.
Yeah.
That's very transferable. And quite often you get ones, I mean, you had a lot of drivers in F1 that would go over to the Indy cars in the States and be very successful, but then some that wouldn't. It's sometimes there's not an easy answer.
I look at IndyCar and think that looks easy, relatively speaking.
Very fast.
Yeah,
it is really fast. I mean, it's
NASCAR.
They're a bit more repetitive, aren't they? Just going
pointless. Absolutely,
you're going to get some heat if you say that.
I mean,
it doesn't appeal in the same way that Formula One does. There's more to it there.
No, I mean, I like Days of Thunder, obviously, but yeah, I can't actually watch a race.
What's the one with Will Ferrell? Is it Talladega Nights?
Talladega Nights, yeah. I don't know if I've seen Talladega
It's
Nights.
worth seeing. Yeah.
Is that yeah? You've answered my question already.
Yeah. So Will Ferrell's the best driver.
Okay, great. Yeah. Thank you very much. So if you get your questions in on social media, lots of you already have, and obviously make sure you're following us to get involved in the show, and would welcome any Austrian phrases for Matt to use.
Yeah,
I actually have got quite a lot of good German phrases that I might be able to offer up. I presume they're slightly idiomatic, so maybe they won't. I'll dig some out from my time in Germany for the Euros last year.
You've got a little inappropriate phrase book, is it?
Not inappropriate. No. It was just building up a nice sort of.
Can I use these in conversation?
German dictionary. Yeah. Right. Yeah, that was the idea. I'd sort of
widen my
set them
lexicon
up and give them to the commentators to try and throw in at the evening.
Were they
matches.
successful?
Semi-successful, I would say.
That's so good.
But there's some quite good ones. You can follow the show on Instagram and TikTok. Watch us on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe while you're there. Links are in the podcast show notes. Please do also rate the podcast on your app of choice. And if you review it, we will read those reviews out. Possibly. Send in your predictions for the next race as well. Who's going to make the podium? You can do that by checking out our Instagram stories or leave a comment on YouTube. Links again are in the show notes. And you can send in any questions or thoughts about the show. Our email address is theinsidetrack@bbc.com. So I'll see you at the same time next week for Matt's Q&A, and then the week after we'll both be back to review the Austrian Grand Prix. The Inside Track is funded and made by BBC Studios, a commercial company that's wholly owned by the BBC. It's produced by Nick the Stick Thompson. Video editing and social media is by Georgina GeForce Revel, and James Captain Cook is the executive producer. Semi-interesting and true bit of information for you is that my dad had a garage, sold tyres and did MOTs and stuff, and the garage was called GeForce.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a reveal.
I know.